This episode is brought to you by May Precision Ag in Kiowa, Kansas. Be sure to contact Jerry May for all your Pioneer seed, grid soil sampling, and custom farming needs. Jeff Bryan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good.
Good to see you.
You as well. Little disclosure before we get started. I need to give a little plug for South Barber Legacy. We're going to talk all things Jeff Bryan and Bryan Chevrolet and all your ventures. But as a supporter of South Barber Legacy, with your contribution, you got podcast time. So
Yep,
there's a plug for South Barber Legacy. If anybody's out there, be sure to look into that. That is a not-for-profit that is very beneficial to our community and our school. So Jeff, how's things been going?
Things going unreal. I'm so busy, having so much fun.
Have you never not been busy?
I can't think of when.
And I need to give you a shout out. You got a nice clean shirt on.
I do. I made sure I had a nice shirt on for today.
There's an inside joke of Jeff wearing his meals, and so I sent you a little reminder. Check your shirt for remnants of breakfast before you come on the podcast. It's going to be videoed. So those that don't know, just share a little bit. We're fully aware, obviously, of who you are, your family's involvement in the community. Can you share just a little bit of the history of your family and their involvement in Kiowa?
Yeah, I believe, my grandparents got married here. My grandfather started the Tucker Farm Supply Store back in 1954, if I recall that correctly. And that business was here until 2007. And my uncle had Tucker Manufacturing. My uncle Dale, if anybody remembers him, and they built the Tucker Speed Mover in Kiowa. They did the interior for Kenworth Trucks in Kiowa, sewing factory. And they sold two-way radios. They brought those to this country, and Evinrude boats, and Cessna airplanes. And then my grandpa had a tire store and a big wholesale and retail delivery route back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. My dad was involved by then. Yeah. So a lot going on.
And you didn't mention the scrap metal.
Oh, yeah. That was big business. That was big business.
Oh.
Yep, cleaning up scrap metal. My grandpa used to let people bring their scrap over to his lot, and then he would process it, and it kept him young all the way to 90 years old is when he quit.
You bet. I know where one of those speed movers are to this day.
Yeah.
That gets used periodically. Do you see many around here anymore?
Yeah. We kept the same telephone number that they put on those, and so we used to sell blades to them all the way through 2007.
Nice.
Because we would get calls daily, and we would sell the blades.
Awesome.
So yeah, there's a bunch of them around still.
Now your dad was Bruce.
Yes.
And Bruce wasn't originally from here, correct?
No, he was born and raised. He was born in Oakland and raised in Los Angeles.
And how did him and your mom meet to end up here?
He was on his way to Vietnam. He was at Fort Riley, and my mom was at Kansas State at Manhattan. I don't know the rest, and I don't think I want to know.
Yeah. I always remember your dad years ago with his obviously working, at the family business down on that end of town on the corner.
Yes.
But a lot of people don't know that myself and a couple other guys back, the mid 90s, late 90s, we would meet at the cafe that was next to the liquor store every morning.
Yeah.
Not affiliated, the cafe. We'd meet there at 6 a.m. to have breakfast.
Uh-huh.
And we would see your dad almost every day walking down Main Street to work.
With a smile.
With a smile and a spring in his step.
Yeah.
And I remember his involvement with community plays back when we had them. And it just always, I remember, I won't mention the other guys' names, but one of them had made a comment one time, just what you said. He's always walking to work with a smile on his face
Yeah.
and a spring in his step, like he had purpose, and never forgot that. Uh, so Jeff, uh, you were raised around here for a while, correct?
Yeah. I was here through first grade with Mrs. Hill. And then I spent second grade through my sophomore year in Wichita, and came back here to finish up junior and senior year.
You bet.
Graduated here.
Then through the course of years, we'll kind of fast forward a little bit. You left the area for a while. I think spent some time in Arkansas and Texas. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then came back. Was it around 16 or 17?
2016.
And bought the Chevrolet dealership from Bill Bogner that had been here for several years.
Correct.
Talk us through what was it that was appealing to come back to Kiowa after being away for a while and wanting to get into the car dealership business?
Well, I can go all the way back, and a lot of this was in my own mind. But in my own mind, I felt like I left Kiowa on a sour note, because my dad had passed away, and I didn't know how to run a farm store other than into the ground. And I felt like I really did Kiowa bad by basically destroying a company that was here for a long, long time. And so I didn't quit. I found out about the car business, didn't know anything about it, but I knew that I didn't have an education. I had to figure something out. So I didn't know that you could be in the car business locally. I thought you had to be in a big city. So I went to Kansas City, took the family up there. I was there for about a year, learned car sales and some car finance. And then I got recruited to go to Arkansas. And so I was in auto finance in Arkansas, worked my way up, worked at 2 or 3 different dealerships. I was pretty good at it. I would continually get asked by other dealerships to come fix their program. So I ended up working for the largest General Motors dealer in the world. And boy, you learn a lot there. And that is when Bill Bogner called me on his 65th birthday and asked if I wanted to come home and buy his dealership. And real quick, I said, "Are you kidding me? I'm at this huge place. I'm doing very well." But that started to work on me, and it worked on me and worked on me. And about 6 months later, I was here. And it takes about 6 months to buy a dealership. There's so much paperwork. But yeah, October 16th of 2016 is when I officially took it over.
Was there any hesitation on your part coming back, knowing what you had just mentioned about, the old farm store, and in your words, you ran it in the ground? Was there any hesitation coming back because of that? Or was there more of an opportunity for redemption?
It was opportunity for me. I could not. I promised myself I'm going to come back. I'm going to do every single thing I can do for Kiowa. It's not about me. I was very successful in the car business, did very well. Now I'm here to give back.
What was the initial attraction to the car business? You talked about you didn't have an education. You're just going to have to learn whatever. What was it that made you say, let's try car business?
Well, that's a good one. I locked the door for the last time on the Tucker store. I went home to my house on 6th Street, South 6th Street. And I don't think Google was a thing at the time, but I typed into the computer, Dr. Pay. I believe, I'm sure this is exactly what I typed in. Dr. Pay, no education. And auto finance came up. And so I dropped everything and I went to Kansas City, and I said, I went to the very first dealership that I saw. It was a Dodge dealership. I walked in, I told him I was there to apply for a auto finance position, and they said, "What's your experience?" And I said, "I don't have any." Well, they said, "You have to have experience to be an auto finance." Well, that's not what the computer said. Uh, so I think just to laugh at me, they went ahead and hired me as a salesman, and it was on from there.
You bet.
So I sold cars until I made my way into the finance department. It took 9 months, which was actually written. Looking back now, that's nuts. But I did it and been going forward since.
At that time, you didn't have your dad to lean on.
Right.
But your family has a history of entrepreneurship, salesmanship. Was there anybody in the family that you leaned on to try to learn or hone your skills?
No, and I'll tell you what, the best thing possible could have happened. My entire family cut me off. I was 30 years old, and they totally cut me off. And the best thing that could have ever happened to me. I was in Kansas City. I owed the bank down here some money, not a lot, but I did owe them some money. And I was up there in Kansas City selling cars, and I was talking to a customer. I looked up, and there was a tow truck picking up my Suburban. I looked up. I said, "Folks, excuse me just a minute. I'll be right back." I ran out there, and I said, "Hey, guys, I understand why you're here. Can I get the car seats out of the Suburban?" Sure. I grabbed the car seats out, ran back over there, closed the deal, sold the car. That is
wow.
You go, but once you've been low like that, once you've had some life experience like that, oh my gosh. So yeah, when I say cut me off, it's not like I didn't come home for Christmas, but there was no financial support.
Yeah, you just got to figure it out.
I had to figure it out because I had wasted. Looking back, it was education. It wasn't a waste. But I tell a lot of people, please don't do that to your kids, because I was pretty well worthless till I was 30.
Yeah. So with your experience selling cars and working in dealerships in metropolitan areas, as well as Kiowa, which is far from a metropolitan area, do you think it's more of a challenge in a rural environment here in Kiowa versus a metropolitan, or vice versa?
No, this is the greatest place to be for business. And I tell so many people this. The kids that graduate high school and leave here, I just know they'll be back. Now, there's some things, if you're going to be a doctor or even maybe an attorney or some things like that, maybe you need to be in a bigger spot. But for the car business, Jeff Bryan Chevrolet is actually, when you look at it per capita, the number one car dealership in Kansas and Nebraska, maybe other places, but I don't have their information. With the way that we use the internet, we bring them here. I'm trying to think, we sell so many cars in Wichita and Oklahoma City and Denver and Los Angeles. My driver is in somewhere up north of Detroit today. Tell me how many car dealerships are between here and there.
Yeah, we're in Detroit itself.
Yeah. So there is very, very low overhead here. Okay. But you can reach the entire world with the internet. So why not be here?
Do you think owning this dealership and operating it in a rural environment gives you an advantage that there's more peace of mind or less pressure when people come to Kiowa versus a metropolitan area? Because I'm just talking about, like, I've never bought from a big dealership. Stopped in a time or two, and it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're a three-legged cat in a room full of dogs. I mean, they're on you. But I'll be honest, Jeff, I've never seen a large dealership in a metropolitan area beat the prices of a rural dealership ever. And that doesn't necessarily pertain just to your dealership, but I mean, we did business in Kingman once upon a time and Cherokee in different places. they've never been able to beat that. And then the customer service on top of that trumped it. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I guess I'll go back to the original question. Do you feel like when people are coming to your dealership from out of this community, they feel less pressure to buy, or they feel more comfortable to buy?
Well, I guarantee they feel less pressure because that's another story I can tell you. I learned from my Uncle Dale on why they feel less pressure, but they absolutely will pay less money coming to Kiowa. There's a lot of people that don't believe that, but if you just stop and look, my lot, I'm kind of grandfathered in. I don't have the $150,000 front to the building. I don't have the concrete um, driveway. Mine's rock. I don't have the taxes on that $10 million building. You have to pay for that. They have to pay for that somehow. Do you really think that you're getting a better deal? No, it's how it's done. And I was part of that world for a long time. I learned it. I know how it's done. I knew what I didn't want to have in my dealership. I didn't want somebody to drive up and have 3 people swarm them. I didn't want somebody to come in and when they absolutely don't want the paint shield to get driven that you have to buy the paint shield. I know how it works. I know what I don't want. I know how I don't want my customers to feel. And that's what we do. I can tell you my Uncle Dale, I believe, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I'll just tell you, my Uncle Dale Tucker out here in Kiowa was the largest Cessna dealer at one time. And the story goes that Cessna sent some suits down to study my uncle and see how he was so successful. And what they found out was when somebody would call in about an airplane, he would give them the price, which he knew was the best price in the world. And they would try to argue with him possibly like people do. And he would say, no, that's okay. If you want it, it's here. If not, the next guy's going to buy it. And he would just not care. Not that he didn't care, but he knew he had the best product with the best price, and they're not going to find it anywhere else. And if they want it, they'll come to Kiowa and get it. And so there was no pressure, zero pressure. Here it is. If you want it, great. If you don't want it, that's okay too. I understand. If you want to go buy from somebody else, no problem. And so that's how I look at the car business. We know we have a superior product. I know that it's been through the shop and been looked at, and we've got David Gollier up there. If most Kiowa people know David Gollier, he's very good. Everything is looked at. I know we have a product that's good. I pay for a warranty for it, so you don't have to. I want people to get a really good product and not be pushed into it and all that. But when people come here, they buy because why else would they come to Kiowa?
Mm-hmm.
So they come down and buy, and then maybe they go to the Plum Thicket and eat lunch, or they get fuel at the gas station or whatever. So we do whatever we can to bring those people in and get them to stay around for a while.
You bet. Walk me through, if somebody was coming to buy a used vehicle, what's kind of the process that you and your team go through at the dealership prior to putting that thing out there for sale? Is there like some checks and balances, all that kind of stuff?
There's 160 point inspection. If you can even think of 160 points to inspect on a car. So my inspection process is pretty deep, but it is that because I don't want to have issues later. And when I'm paying for a warranty, I definitely don't want to have problems. It happens once in a while. No problem. We fix it. I had a vehicle that went to Arizona a few days ago, and the gentleman got it to Arizona, and something happened with the air conditioner. I don't know what. We don't need it here today, but I'm sure you do in Phoenix. And he went to a repair shop. He called me. I said, take it to a repair shop. He took it to the repair shop, and the repair guy goes, you're paying for this? I said, well, I sold him the car. He said, people don't do that. You sold him the car. It's his. I said, send me the bill, and I'll pay for it. that was our mistake. That shouldn't have happened, but it happens once in a while. So, that's why we sell so many cars, because people know we're going to stand behind it. And we're going to take care of it.
How long has David been back and with you? Because he was in another dealership at one time.
He was,
Collier.
yeah, he's been at a couple of dealerships, and he started here. Then he was in Alva and Wichita, Great Bend, I believe Great Bend, and then he was back in Alva at a private dealership, or not a dealership, but just a mechanic shop, I guess. And I talked to him over the course of 2 or 3 years, because I knew he was a quality guy, and I knew he knew what he was talking about. And it took 2 or 3 years, but we finally got him, and he'd been there ever since. I pray he retires with us.
Well, that kind of answers my other question, but I'm going to ask it anyways.
Uh-huh.
How much comfort is there? Because David grew up here.
Uh-huh.
I had his mom as a school teacher. How much comfort is there in having a guy like that is from here, that you probably knew when you were younger, working for you in a very important role in your business?
To me, it's family. The whole thing is family. Everybody that works there is like family to me. I don't tell them that they work for me. I say we're coworkers. I respect them. So everybody that works there is a brother or sister in Kiowa, and we treat them as such. And I want to make sure that the money that we pay them is spent here. And I don't really know where I'm going with that, but it's just like family.
What all varieties of cars does Jeff Bryan Chevrolet, and I know there's been some changes through the years with Buick, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we sold the Buick franchise off.
What all? So do you focus just strictly on Chevrolet?
Yes.
But then you have trade-ins of all kinds of varieties.
I focus on new Chevrolets.
Okay.
So if you want to buy a new vehicle, it's a Chevrolet. But I can get any vehicle you want. You tell me what color you want, how many miles, whether you want leather, cloth, whatever. I get that. And then we have drivers that go all over the country and pick them up and bring them in. So yeah, I had a customer from Medicine Lodge that wanted a 1-ton Dodge Ram with a flatbed on it, wanted white. I had it. I believe it came from San Francisco or somewhere out in California. We had it in 2 or 3 days.
Is there kind of a time frame that you work within, or that you can kind of ballpark if somebody comes in and wants a vehicle that you don't got, you're going to you don't have, you're going to have to search around the United States? Is there kind of a time frame that you kind of work within to get those?
Most of the time, it's just a few days. I have an Explorer coming in. It'll be here tonight, about 3:00 in the morning tonight. I think this is Wednesday. I think we ordered it on Friday. It's coming from Utah.
Nice.
I have a Tahoe. Gentleman called me and he wanted a Chrysler product. I said, that's fine. But what about a Tahoe? Well, let me ask my wife. Comes back, hey, we want a Tahoe, but it has to be this kind with this many miles and this color and this seat and a sunroof. And I said, no problem. So we got it coming in, I think, 3 or 4 days. We do it every day.
With all the varieties of makes and models that you have, is the shop still available to everything outside of Chevrolet as well?
Yeah, we fix anything.
Good.
Yep.
Are there car auctions anymore? I remember Bill used to fly to some car auctions like in Oklahoma City or Dallas or something like that. Are they still a thing?
Yeah. The car auctions are still there. I don't particularly like to go to the car auctions. I just don't have time. I can sit at my desk with my computer the way I've got it set up, and I can find the vehicles. They're not necessarily from auctions. I can do auctions, but there's a lot of us, this comes from working at the mega dealership out in Arkansas. But there's a lot of us that are tied together. Um, and we have pools of cars all over the country that we can pull out of. So then I say, yeah, I want that one from that guy that I used to know over there. And it's been inspected. I know everything about it. If there's a chip in the windshield, I know it. And, so I just, that's the stuff that I do usually is I grab those and send my driver to get it or put it on a truck and haul it in.
I knew a guy that sold cars in rural Kansas and Oklahoma for 20 years. Always had a dream of going to a big dealership like in Texas. And so later in his career, he did, and lasted maybe 30, 45 days. and this is where I want to ask you if you find any truth in this. The reason that guy came back and sold in rural America again was, said he might sell 4 or 5 cars in a day to doctors, lawyers, highfalutin businessmen around Dallas, Fort Worth, and one, if that, might actually get financed because their credit was destroyed with the lifestyle they lived. Whereas he could sell far beyond that in a rural environment because it seemed like people had better credit.
Mm-hmm.
If you found that to be true?
It's different for me. Yes, people around here tend to have better credit. However, I was the finance director for some very large companies, and there's very few people that I can't get financed. So I understand what he's saying, but everybody deserves to have a vehicle. And there's different ways, different banks, different ways to get vehicles financed. And if it's somebody that I know that I care about and, local, I'll probably finance it. Personally, we have a lot of cars that we finance to people that deserve it, that maybe they're down on their luck or whatever.
So you run a special on servicing cars, which is almost unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's been running that way for as long as I remember you being back.
Yeah.
Talk about that for a second.
Well, yeah, it started out at $9.99. Now it's $19.80 or $9.88. Now it's $19.88 because of inflation. But yeah, we service your vehicle, lube oil, filter and inspection, vacuum it out, for $19.88. That's up to 5 quarts of oil. Now if your vehicle takes 6 quarts of oil, it's, $5.99 a quart. So however many quarts. So yeah, a diesel truck might be $34 instead of 20, but it beats 100 everywhere else.
Yeah. And just to clarify, that's any make or model.
Yeah, we do.
And it doesn't have to be purchased. The vehicle didn't have to be purchased from you.
No, you don't have to. No, we just want to see you. So we do that. And we use genuine General Motors oil. If it's General Motors, or if it's Ford, we have the Ford oil or whatever. It's not cheap oil. It's Mobil 1 synthetic. But we do that as a service because one thing that I found when we sell a car to somebody, it's a pretty good shot that they're going to trade it back in with us. Most people come back. And if we can show that the car has been serviced on time every time, it's worth a lot more, and it's easier for us to sell the trade-in. These oil changes got so out of hand as far as pricing because dealers and, of course, they're wanting to make money on them, that a lot of people don't have $100, $120 for an oil change, and they'll skip it. Well, once you do that, the record is broken. So we just decided, hey, we're going to do it as inexpensive as possible. And that keeps people coming in on time, getting it done because it's $20 instead of $120. And then when we trade for these vehicles, And if you didn't buy your vehicle from us, once you come in and experience our service department, you'll probably come back and buy your next vehicle from us. So that's how we've built a lot of our business, is with our oil change special. And I've heard so many things. Oh, that can't be good oil. It can't be this. It can't be that. No, I subsidize it. Yes, I lose money on it, but I subsidize it because it's good for business.
Yeah.
So,
all right, we're at 30 minutes. You good if we keep going a little bit longer? I got a few more questions, some things we haven't
absolutely.
touched on. Okay.
Yeah, we haven't talked about different businesses in Kiowa.
Exactly. Before we get to that, you've been very, very generous within the community as far as whether it's rec teams, Labor Day events, donations to the school, different things. Where did that come from? Was that naturally in you? Was that something that you had to learn as far as giving back to the community?
That, yeah, that was not naturally in me. Naturally in me was to hang on to every penny I ever made in my life. Let's we can turn over the way I treat people and the way I take care of business now to God, to certain people and things in my life that I've learned and that I care about, and to the promise that I made to myself to come back and make things right for Kiowa, in Kiowa, things that I didn't know to do when I was 30 and before.
Gail McNett was on here a while back prior to the holiday event here in the community a couple weeks ago. And for a brief moment, she was talking about a touch of truck with, and it turned out to be touch of truck with kids. Like they'd bring a fire truck in, little kids could look it over. You may find this humorous because I know you, but when she initially talked touch a truck, I thought, well, they got Jeff to give a pickup. They're going to do the old hand on the pickup till last man standing gets it. So turns out that wasn't the case, but I could have seen that happen for some reason.
Well, if I was asked to, I might do that.
So let's get into, other than the dealership, you've got some other ventures around the community.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I believe in everybody. I believe that people should be able to do things, do whatever they want to do. And a lot of people maybe don't know how to do it, or they don't have the financing to do it, or were told they couldn't do it. All of those things I've been through. And so I believe that everybody has a good idea for something. And when people have an idea and they're not sure how to deliver on it, or what to do, or maybe they're doing their idea, but they've gotten in some trouble financially, or just not knowing how to do business. Folks call me, come to my office, ask me questions. I get involved. I love it. I just love it. And my wife loves it. And we get together and we build businesses. And there's several here in town that we've been involved in or are involved in. Some of these businesses, I think to myself, boy, if something happened to that business, that would really be hard on Kiowa. And I remember what it was like for me back in 2007. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And so my head, my heart, and my hands are open to these people, to anybody. I don't care who it is. And that's for businesses, for people in general. We do financial counseling, either at my office or at my house. My days are very busy. My evenings are very busy, but I just believe everybody ought to own their own home. And I believe everybody ought to understand a budget and be able to live under their means. And so that's what we teach people. God brings them to us. I don't go looking for people to get in their business. God brings them to us. You can't believe how many people come to us. And hey, what do we do for this? What do we do for that? And it's just a business I've been in long enough to kind of know most of the answers, or if not, where to find them. So there's a lot of people in this town or the surrounding area that are building a savings, that are getting their bills paid and things that maybe they hadn't done in a long time. And that is better for me than selling 100 cars in a month or what. That's what I believe God brought me to do. The car business is just a way to do it.
Now, I think I'm a sucker. I'm one of them that always read the newspaper. I miss the days of when you had more options other than just your local paper. You could go to the gas station, grab one in the morning for a quarter or 50 cents. But I still read our local paper every week. And when you talked about helping people, I've even seen where you've helped finance homes. Is it Bryan Investments has financed some homes for some people?
Yeah, Bryan Investments does mortgage lending. So are you asking about Bryan Investments?
So,
or how we do that?
Yeah. When did that how long has that been in play? Because I just had noticed it recently. Has it been around for a while?
We've been doing it quite a while. My uncle, Mark Tucker, if you know him, when his wife passed away 3 or 4 years ago, he was feeling pretty lost. And I said, let's help some people. And so we started finding a few people that, needed some financial assistance. And so we started mortgaging lending money on real estate. And again, I believe everybody ought to own their own home. And so Bryan Investments has been buying properties. We go in, we have our own construction crew. We go in and we remodel the home or the commercial property or whatever it is. And then we sell it and we carry the note. And that is thanks to the help of Mark Tucker and what he's got going on. So we loan the money to folks and we set them up. We have a company out of Wichita that services the loans for us, so that, say it is somebody with credit that wasn't very good or whatever, that doesn't bother us at all. But what we do, we set it up with this servicing company out of Wichita, and when that person makes their payments, the servicing company can then use that. You can get the payments from the servicing company and show it to a mortgage company, and you have credit then to buy a house or whatever else you want. So it really brings people up a lot, and we're happy to do it.
I know you've been buying up some properties for quite a while now, obviously renovating some homes. Just kind of a ballpark, how many people have you got to move to Kiowa or helped get into a home here in Kiowa since you've started that?
Oh boy.
Just a ballpark.
A ballpark would be somewhere between 30 and 50 people.
Now, how old are you now, Jeff?
I'm 48.
48. At 48, have you ever looked back and thought, young Jeff Bryan would never be doing this?
No. In high school, I read books. I can't read very well, but I could read a financial book. I could read a real estate book, and that's really the only kind of books I've ever read. I don't know why. That's just how I am. I knew I was going to be doing real estate. I didn't know. At that age, I thought I would be a millionaire when I was 20 years old and just be, at this point, I thought I'd be senator and whatever. And obviously God said that ain't how it works. Fortunately, none of the things that I thought I would be doing happened. I got kicked in the teeth a whole bunch and got humbled a whole bunch. But what that did is it made what God gives me to give to others, it made it that much more special, that much more effective. Um, so I can look back when I was 18 years old, sitting up here in high school, and the books I was reading, the financial magazines and things, I knew that I was going to do something like I'm doing now, but I thought it would be for the benefit of these tight clenched hands. And it's for, um, here it is. Let's share it. Let's make everybody, more successful. Um, so my worldview and my personal view really changed a lot.
Was there a period of restoration with you and your family when you came back? And I don't know if that's the right word to say, but you talked about they'd cut you off financially. I mean, you still came back for holidays, but was there a period of time that maybe they didn't trust you 100%, or was the family all on board to help you succeed when you moved back to Kiowa?
Family was not on board to help me at all. Um, I was able to get a co-signer to buy the dealership, but then I still I got to think about how that worked. It was very difficult. I remember that. Um, I I got a bank in Alva to finance it. I had a co-signer. Um, we got it going. Probably 2, 3, 4 years after we were here, then family got on board, and now, shoot, now we just take care of each other. Um, so yeah, no, not at first,
Good.
because I had a reputation with my
Yep.
family.
Yeah. Let's talk about that just for a second. If you had a reputation with your family, there might have been one in the community as well upon your return. Talk about, was there some adversity getting that dealership up and going to where you wanted it to be versus where it was when you purchased it? And, walk us through some of the things that you had to overcome.
Well, I don't know what I don't know. I can tell you what I believe in my heart was that everybody was against me because I'd done so many people wrong. But actually, when I got back, most people had forgotten about that, or didn't know what had gone on, or those people had moved out of town or passed away or whatever. But I know there's a few people that don't forget or haven't forgotten, and that's okay. But uh, from the start, people um, gathered around and were they bought local, and you've got your folks that'll do that, and then there's other people that we had to convince that we were going to be there for them, and showed them that we would go the extra mile. And now, man, it's more than just Kiowa. It's Alva, it's Medicine Lodge, Anthony. It's the whole surrounding area that knows that we're here and we're going to do what's right, and it's just God. That's all.
Is there anybody left at the dealership from when Bill had it to where you're at now? I knew Shirley was there for quite
Shirley
a while.
retired. Shirley was there from 1995 until last year. So she was there a good haul. Um, there is not anybody else that was there. There was very few employees when I took it over, though. Um, I believe I took it over with 3 employees.
Was there any obstacles you had to overcome with the transition of ownership?
No. Well, define what you mean.
Well, like, you and Bill aren't the same. Bill plays a lot of golf, flies airplanes. You were probably there a lot more than Bill towards the end.
Oh, yeah.
So was there any, did you have to overcome anything with the employees? With sometimes there's a period of transition where employees that are holdovers have to get used to new ownership and the way things are done. Was there any big obstacles you had to overcome with that? Was it pretty smooth.
I believe we should ask Shirley. I don't know. Everything seemed to be very smooth to me.
Hey, you don't know what you don't know, right?
I may have to ask Shirley that.
A couple more questions. Talk about the influence that your grandfather had on you.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
I will talk about the influence of my grandfather and my father. How about that?
You got it.
My dad, when he was 54 years old, got leukemia from Agent Orange exposure in Vietnam. He passed away 1 year and 2 days later. In that year, he said, I won't be coming back to the farm store. I will be doing my studying, getting ordained, and I'm going to be a pastor. I'm done wasting my life in business. I'm going to help save souls. That was his real calling. So my dad never made tons of money. Don't get me wrong. We were comfortable. We didn't miss a meal, but my dad wasn't a multimillionaire. But when my dad passed away, there was not a place to sit. It was standing room only, including the basement of the church. It was beautiful. Everybody loved my dad. I can't find anybody that didn't love my dad. My dad, you talked about my dad smiling. My dad told me, he says, I haven't had a bad day since I got off that plane, got back to the States from Vietnam, and nobody was shooting at me. When he was laying in the hospital dying, the nurses would say, Bruce, are you having a bad day? My dad would say, I have good days and I have better days, but I never had a bad day since I got home from Vietnam. So that's what I grew up around. My dad never yelled. My dad never hit. My dad was just a loving person. My grandfather was not a bad person, but probably his number one thing in life was to make as much money as he could possibly make, doing whatever he could do to make that money, so that he would never have to see what he saw in the Depression, so that he would never have to go through what he saw others go through in the Depression. And my grandpa was a charitable man, but percentage-wise, not very much. My grandpa never knew the difference between closed fists and open hands. So he was awesome. Everybody remembers him. He was a great businessman. He did big things, but in the end, we had a graveside service for my grandpa. Granted, he was 95 years old, and all of his friends were gone already. But it didn't have the same effect on my heart as my dad's funeral did. I just decided that I want to positively affect as many people as I can. I want my hands open. I have plenty. I'm not a multimillionaire, but I have plenty. My kids are fed. My kids are good. And it's my purpose to come to Kiowa, help as many people as I can, with my hands wide open. And God just continues to bless us. I believe it's because I'm not hanging on to it. I don't know. And I want standing room only at my funeral.
Question out of left field. What kind of impact has Ted Davis had on you?
Ted Davis is one of, I believe you can count your friends on one hand, and Ted Davis is on that hand. There's acquaintances and there's friends, but people that make a huge impact on you. Ted is that we have lunch together every day. He's an old car guy. We kind of speak the same language, and we just have a great time together. And God put us both in Kiowa, Kansas at the right time. And
It's about the time he came here.
he may have got here before me a little bit, but we got here at the same time. And I had no idea who he was, and he had no idea who I was. And Sue out at the Plum Thicket introduced us. And boy, we've been thick as thieves since. He is undoubtedly the most Christian man I know ever. No offense to other people, but he is the best teacher that I've ever had as far as how to do life. Maybe my dad was that, but I wasn't old enough to or mature enough to take those lessons. So Ted has undoubtedly probably had the biggest positive effect on my life of anybody. And I love him.
I'm almost embarrassed for you that you guys was talking about eating at the Plum Thicket, knowing his wife and her cooking abilities.
Oh boy, she's good.
She's better than good.
I always tell people, if Armageddon or something like that comes up, I'm going to Sue or Debbie's.
Well, think about this. This is kind of stuff that rolls through my head. I'm like, Ted must have some phenomenal genetics. I mean, married to Debbie, knowing her cooking abilities, and he don't weigh 350 or 400 pounds.
I know.
I mean, I'm like, holy smokes, how does that happen? But no, I agree with you. Ted is just a salt of the earth guy. And he might have, I know him and Debbie were floating back and forth between Oklahoma and here there for a while before they planted roots, I'm assuming for good now.
Yeah.
But no, good guy, a guy that I've leaned on from time to time or picked his brain, especially when it comes to big decisions. He just brings a perspective that nobody else I've ever met brings, and sometimes it's the simplest of answers to something that I think's a huge problem. And I'm like, well, that wasn't that big a deal anyways, was. I'm glad I talked to him. Only took 2 weeks to do that, but glad I did. So what's the future hold for the dealership and the ventures? Anything out on the horizon?
Well, I got involved. Well, we'll talk about the dealership. The dealership is clicking right along. It's doing really well. We're just going to continue to run it the way we're running it, and it continues to fuel all of the other things that we do for Kiowa and for people. And then I'm always open to new ventures. We've got the Stateline Stockyards going in on a farm that my uncle and I sold them. And so they're building that really, really heavy into building that right now. That is going to bring some jobs. I already know who's been hired for those jobs, and a lot of money as far as vendors that are building it, as far as plumbers, electricians, heat and air, all that. So that's going to be a good shot for the community, and then a lot of people coming to town for that.
Now, when you talk about the vendors, are you using local vendors?
Yes.
For that?
Yes, that was one of the stipulations that I had. So we've got R.L. Simpson doing plumbing. We've got Bushman Heat and Air doing the heat and air. Now we don't have a local electrician at the moment, so we've got Scott Klein out of Alva, Northwest Electric, going to do the electric. So that's what's going on there. And then we brought I did some real estate trading and brought Bushman Heat and Air up from Oklahoma because I felt that we needed another heat and air company.
We needed one. You
Yeah,
know, I mean, when the Cox brothers retired, there was nobody to take that over.
right. I think Bill Duval does it,
Yeah,
but he is so busy. That guy's awesome. He does.
he's got a lot of irons in the fire.
Oh, he does so much. And so when the Cox boys decided to retire, I started looking for a heat and air company to come to town, and I got with uh, Bushman's. They're an awesome family. To get them to come to town, I sold them my personal house. They brought 6 children with them for our schools, and they are the best Christian people. They are so nice. They are respectful, and so I felt like Kiowa needed that, and I did everything I could do to get them here. Um, so we did that. Um, I want to do I guess you would call it a shout out to Christina Duval and what she's done with my wife and I's. I call it an ice cream store because that's what's most important to me in life. If you look at me, you can tell. So she is so awesome. She has gone into that company. My wife and I built it, and we had a manager in there that wasn't from Kiowa, and she was fine, but it just wasn't exactly what we wanted. So we parted ways, and Christina Duval came to us or came to my mind. I went to her, and she thought I was nuts, but then she just took it and just has done awesome with it. So it's called Crazies because she's crazy. And
Yeah, it's appropriately named.
yes, but man, it is so good.
Crazy good.
It's crazy good. So I'm so proud of her. But anyway, just the different businesses in town that we've got going, and there's more to come. I am looking for uh, uh, some type of small manufacturing. I don't ever look for something with 50 or 100 jobs, because if that company goes out, you're in trouble. I look for something with 3 or 4 or 5 jobs, and that way it's not so terrible if something happens. But I've got a meeting on Saturday with a large business owner in Wichita. I'm just looking for something, just a little something to do some manufacturing.
Any specific type of manufacturing?
No, it's all up to God anyway. If I put out there for some specific type, he'll do something totally different just to show me I'm wrong and not in control. So
There you go.
I'm just we're just going to talk about it, and what happens will happen. You know, another thing I learned from my Uncle Dale when he put in the sewing factory on Main Street. Marge Klepper was his manager. That was Lisa Deal's mother. And one of the things that my uncle got was, well, there's not enough people in Kiowa to work at that facility. So my uncle bought a school bus, and Marge drove the school bus to all the surrounding communities and picked up the workers and then took them all home. So don't tell us we can't do something. Let's just find out how we're going to do it, and let's do it.
Yeah.
So that's I guess some examples like that over my life has made it where we just get it done, whatever it takes.
Yeah. It's a good attitude to have. So I got a couple questions. So you brought it up. So I'm going to use this as an opportunity to squelch some thoughts or concerns about the stockyards.
Okay.
So I've had some people say when it was in the newspaper that you guys went to the city council, it was said that 85% of the business will come out of Oklahoma, with the stockyards being in Oklahoma, even though it's right on the state line, hence the name Stateline. If those numbers are accurate, what will the impact be for Kiowa from an economic standpoint? Are we looking at employees moving here, or do you think the number of traffic isn't 85% from Oklahoma? Can it be more from Kansas? What's the impact for Kiowa on that?
Well, we went to the city council because we were wanting to put money back into the community. And one way we thought that we could do it was through utilities. Just one easy way to do it would be through the utilities. That didn't work out. That's fine. We drilled wells. We've got tons of water down there. As far as percentages, I didn't do any demographic stuff like that. What I did, or where I was involved, was jobs and vendors to build it. I wanted the shot in the arm right now. So people in the management positions out there are local. There is some people that are coming in. They have leased a residential deal from me for those people. But as far as where traffic's coming from or whatever, I'm not privy to that. I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm not even sure what you're talking about, really. But
well, there were some people brought it up. It was in the paper that 85% of the business would come from Oklahoma for the stockyards. That's
like of the cows or whatever that come in.
I'm assuming.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know. That's not my. I have
So
no idea.
was there any thought of building it on the other side of the state line?
Yeah, I worked so hard on that. Our governor put up roadblocks. I worked so hard to get it in Barber County instead of Alfalfa County. Yeah.
So is there a pretty big difference between requirements? I'm assuming it's in Kansas. I'm assuming it's fallen under health and environment, probably also the Department of Agriculture. Oklahoma's probably ODAF, their Department of Agriculture and Forestry. Is there much difference in those regulations from one side of the state to the other?
Yes.
Kansas a little tighter?
Yes, that was the deal. And I have a pretty good relationship with Jerry Moran, but I did not, and I don't know why, I did not talk to him about that. And I'm kind of kicking myself now that I didn't, but it was kind of an opportunity we needed to get it handled right now because this guy was ready to spend money. He's putting $7 million in that thing.
Yeah.
And I did not want to lose. That's a once in a lifetime deal. We get that in here, we'll get something else. I'm not going to stop working on it. I've been to California looking at businesses. People think I'm just sitting down there in that car dealership. The car dealership is awesome, but I have great people that help me run it. My mind is many places, and it's all Kiowa.
So when do we anticipate the opening?
It would be hard for me to believe, really, but February. I'll believe it when I see it, but that's what they're pushing for.
That's fast.
That's ridiculous. I can't fathom it.
Yeah.
But that's what they're pushing for. If you don't hit that goal and you hit it in March, great. It's a goal.
Did you guys, just curious, did you guys look at any studies of the impact? So Medicine Lodge was the last community in the county that had a livestock auction barn, and Kiowa was burned down years ago.
Uh-huh.
Did you guys look at the impacts that had on our economy since those businesses left? Do you got any numbers like that of what we can expect out of this with a boost? Because I know both those businesses, when they, obviously ours burnt down.
Yeah.
Medicine Lodge closed, sold. I know people in Medicine Lodge that had businesses that said they didn't realize how impactful that sale barn was on Fridays until it wasn't there. And we know from Kiowa what happened here. I mean, we didn't just lose sale barn, we lost a whole lot more than that.
Right.
Did you guys look at any of those numbers?
I didn't. Common sense tells me that getting something like that into town is going to be a plus. I know from having the farm store that the busiest day was Thursdays, which was sale day, and guys would drop their trailer off for my grandpa or my dad to load with, at the time, even thousands of dollars worth of stuff. And they would go to the sale, and then they would come back and pick up their trailers. I know.
Talking wire, tires.
Yeah. Fence posts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And wire mesh panels were huge. Anyway, I know that light switch, it just flipped a light switch when the sale barn went out. So yeah, that tells me things are a little bit different. I think a lot of sale barn stuff is done online now. People might sit in their office and buy cattle or send somebody or whatever, but you're still going to have people in traffic and jobs and money and all that.
Are you mildly nervous with this new venture? I mean, when you start dealing with agriculture, man, it's about as high risk as anything out there. And then you just look in the surrounding areas. There's competition to the north, the east, the south, the west. You mentioned the online. There are companies. There's a guy in Alba that works for an online auction that you never even have to leave the farm. With all that in mind, and obviously, hopefully the borders open up because the Mexican border's been closed. That's caused some stuff. Cattle market's been a little tumultuous. Mildly nervous about the new venture.
Me personally, I am not nervous at all, because we have the building going in. We have the local vendors that are going to get paid to do it. I have no dog in that. My deal was to get it to town.
Oh.
Okay. I'll support it. I don't have cows. I don't have $1 million in the deal. I am just the Kiowa cheerleader to get people to come here and help put things together. Okay. Am I nervous that it may or may not work? Or sure, I want it to work. But in the meantime, Mike Coggins, like I said, the heat and air people, the Bushmans, the Kleins, the all the people that are going to come here, they're bringing in a concrete machine, whatever you call it. All of this stuff that's going on, money is getting dropped in Kiowa now. Okay. Whether it works, I'm highly confident that the guy that's doing it can make it work. Okay. He's very good. But whether it works or not, we are already getting, Kiowa is already seeing a benefit that they didn't have before.
You bet. Well, my apologies. I just assumed that you was a stakeholder. That's why I was asking if you had some nervousness about it.
Oh, no. There's one owner.
Agriculture, if you want to get gray hair fast, get involved trying to make a living in that. Probably no more riskier than selling cars, but
I don't know anything about it. My friend Ted Davis says, play another man's game, get hit over the head with a bat. I will stay in my lane, and I will continue to sell cars because that's what I know. But I know Kiowa is a good place, and I know that any business that's out there that I can get to come to Kiowa and set it up correctly where it has the best chance of success, I'm going to do it.
You bet. Well, Jeff, we exceeded our 30 minutes, but I enjoyed it. That's why I told you at 30 minutes, I wanted to make sure you want to keep going because I learned a lot that I didn't know about you.
Really?
I've known you for a while and learned some new things. I'm going to share one story about your Uncle Dale before we we cut this thing off. I know a guy that still lives in this community that was with him in an airplane one time.
Uh-huh.
And they went to buzz a deer, as in, when I say we, Dale said, we're going to buzz this deer that was laying in a field.
Yeah.
On the third time, the buck ducked its head down, and the guy sitting next to your uncle said, "I think we've done enough." So,
Yep.
always enjoyed that. And, always enjoyed your grandfather, knew him a little more than your dad. Like I said, I knew your dad from a distance, just always appreciated his involvement in the community, and just the way he carried himself. And Junior, I had a little small venture for a little bit till I sold it. He was very supportive of that, and was always a pleasure. He did not give a rat's patootie if the city didn't want him parking his golf cart on the sidewalk right in front of that business when he came in.
Yeah.
And he'd always have pictures or something, and he'd tell the story with it.
Yeah.
And I like that kind of stuff. And so I know he was a good man, appreciated the things that he did in the community, especially, it seemed like later in life. We've got the memorial, the statue down there on the corner. I know he was responsible for that. And that's such a nice, eye appealing thing right when you come to town from the South.
Yeah.
That's your first impression. And I think first impressions are important, and that's always a good one. But
the Simpsons put the cross too.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That came later, but that even makes it a better impression.
It does.
And that's a whole nother story we get into with that guy that went around building those.
Yeah.
What a story he's got. But I know you're a busy man. I thank you for taking time out of your day.
Thank you.
To come down here and share a little bit about what you got going on, and wish you the best moving forward.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. This has been awesome.
You bet.